for instance, I'll give you my numbers. I run ads for about 30 days, I should say, on Facebook ads.
Yeah.
That costs me about 5,070. I also run ads on LinkedIn. That cost me about 2,700. I mean 700. So you see that if you look at this, it's accumulating. I also look out for leads on Buck and these other small entities. There I spend another 2,000 or 3,000. So when you take all of this, when you take all of these amounts, it amounts to almost close to 10 to 12,000. But it does work because
You're good to go now.
all right. Okay. So do I okay, let me let me wait on you.
You want to introduce yourself?
It's always the way to go whenever you attend these things, you know.
Nah, man, it's all good. Welcome to another edition of Mindset Profits. We are starting a series that I'm really excited about called the Entrepreneurial Artisan, because when it comes to entrepreneurship, many people don't recognize that you can't be an entrepreneurial artisan. Many people know plumbers, many people know electricians, many people know carpenters, but many people don't realize that, actually many young people don't realize what the business potential is in being an artisan. So in this series, I've gotten to work with Allen Gray Makers, and they are an organization that has really put a lot of money behind this niche to say we want to develop the next entrepreneurial artisan. They have gone to TVET colleges, they've gone to unemployed youths, they've really gone so far to take these artisans, train them, develop them, and help them start their businesses. One of them is here today, but he's not starting. I have so many questions for him because UKG, Mr. Tower, is joining us today. The young guys that are starting, they said, we want you to ask the masters, the ones that have made those millions. Okay, guys, how did you get this? Simplify this path, because it feels so difficult to get started as an artisan.
Yeah.
To do it right, we can master the plumbing, but there's the business part. We can master being an electrician, but there's a whole business part behind it that has to work, and it's so hard to start. So, Tabo, welcome, man. I think from the intro you can tell I'm very excited to have you here.
Yeah, no, definitely I can tell that you are very eager to know more about what I've done. So yeah, where can I start? You know,
brief us, man. What do you do?
Oh, okay.
What does your business do?
So I'm part of a company called Kimber Group. We are a turnkey civil engineering and construction company. I'm a qualified civil engineer. I studied at Durban University of Technology. I've been in this industry for nearly, we could say now this is my 10th year. Yeah, and it's been a journey. There's a lot of stories to share. There's a lot of lessons that I think I can just give to anybody who needs that fuel to move forward, maybe with their next venture or within their business space. So yeah, Kimber Group started in 2017, and I've been running it ever since. I haven't looked back. Yes, it's been tough. Yes, I've had good moments. I have so much to share. So yeah.
All right, so we'll get into those because I'm curious. I want to encourage every young person that's in a TVET college to say you're on the right path, just to give them that assurance. Every young person that has the trade, maybe not a trade certificate or on that path, to say you can still make a very good living in the sector, in the field that you're in, and just build their confidence. So I asked the makers that we're working with, and they said we have questions for these guys. So I'll start with a question from Unkosnati.
Yeah.
It says, what's the one piece of advice you would give to a young professional that's starting up?
A young professional that's starting up, are they starting a business or they just starting in
They
their
came
field?
out of the program, the
Okay,
starter
to-
program.
oh,
So
okay.
they've been trained,
Yes.
but now they have to do
All
business.
right. Okay. So my advice for them there will be: you've already started a journey. You are already equipped, because I know from starters they give you a well balanced package. They give you how to handle your finance,
Yeah.
how to work well with your people, just people management skills, should I say. The marketing part, there's just a lot that they try and put into one package for that program. So the advice I would give those people that you already have the tools, start reapplying yourself. Yes, it's not easy. You are going to fail at some times, but it's not about how many times you're going to fail. It's how many times you're going to have to reapply yourself, because those tools, some of the days they won't make sense. You throw them out of you'll throw them out of your mind and say, no, this is not really working for me. But keep on applying yourself. You'd see that you are readjusting yourself to also be as disciplined as you can. So that's the advice I'll give them. Keep
On
going.
that, man, I noticed that in class you'll get trained that this is how you sell, this is how you present yourself, and it sounds so exciting and practical until you have to meet a stranger and actually pitch.
Yeah, quite
You
true.
get
Because
paralyzed.
that's why I'm saying you have to keep on reapplying yourself. How you take all of this information in class, it's easy to say, I have to have a marketing strategy, or this is how I make sure that I keep my people captivated, have an audience for my business, or returning customers. But how you now apply it outside is different from what you were reading. You now need to really dig deep within yourself. That spirit of being an entrepreneur also needs to come out, and you reapply yourself as much as you can.
You know what? A few of them have struggled with. In class, you are in one area, and then when it comes to starting your business, you go back home. So some have gone back home to Epongola, for example, and to smaller towns.
Yeah.
And as exciting as the opportunity seemed when they were in class, now when they get home, you realize, there's no demand here.
There is no demand, honestly. And I really sympathize with those people, because I know some communities that are less privileged. For example, you're making an example for somebody who's in Upongol. That person now needs to make a conscious decision to try and move closer. And for a lot of people, that's where they give up. That's where they think, how am I going to now have to live my life here in this small time? But if your dream and your goal is bigger than yourself, that's when you really have to take a initiative to move forward. Otherwise, what you could do, try and look for other emerging companies within your local space.
Okay.
Try and find out if they can have you as one of their service providers. You can subcontract. Yes, that's a slower way of achieving what you want to do. But if you want to make things happen,
Yeah.
you need to go where the noise is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a fast way of getting some skills, though.
Yes,
If you
skills
work-
and experience. More than anything, this is an experience game. I've seen it. I'm not going to lie. The fact that you have done something first, the second time, the third time, you know what you didn't do well the first and the second. So you keep on improving yourself as you go. You are basically building yourself. You are also building that's how you are building the business. Build yourself to build a business, especially for these upcoming entrepreneurs, because whatever that you would have envisioned as an entrepreneur, it starts with you, and you have to relay it to other people or your team that you are working close with, and that's how they also carry the same goal that you have, and that's how you also grow your successful business. So,
When you're starting, what were your fears?
honestly, I'll be honest. So for me, when I started, I really didn't have much fears of the business itself, because I grew up in a space where I've had to sell all my life. This was a skill that I learned from a very young age, just to sell.
What were you saying?
Well, I was selling a lot of things. For instance, I did promotions. So that helped me talk to people. I could present myself. I did market
Promos
says
like what the kids at school, varsities and colleges
They
to
They
promote
do.
Products for other companies.
For other companies. So that gives you a little bit of
That's a
of
cool
confidence.
tip, actually, because someone is not considering that as part of building your skill.
True.
And a skill that you're going to need later.
Exactly. If there are two things that I advise men or anybody in general to have the skill to sell, have the skill to teach. If you can teach and sell, you won't go wrong. You can teach somebody how to look. Manje lokshini, we've got a lot of what you call semi-skilled plumbers.
Yeah.
There's a person who's teaching them. I have a team of 6 plumbers. 2 of them learned on the job, and after they learned on the job, we had to take them for trade certificate. So
Okay.
that's why I'm saying to you, if you can sell, to me, an important person, if you can sell and teach, I think you have what it takes to prosper this entrepreneurial journey of yours. Basically.
Also, that's what built your confidence to not be afraid to start, because you knew I could sell.
I can sell. If there is a client who wants anything. So let me just take you back to how my journey started.
Yeah.
I started first with doing design, engineering things. That's where I specialized. But I realized I was still very young in the industry. I needed to grow my market and have also other people trust me, because remember, when you just come out of varsity, I only worked a year. From there, I went straight into opening my own shop, which is Kimber Group. So I didn't have much experience to know how does a company like Group 5, because that's where I started, how do they bring in a client? How do they sell to a client? Make sure that the needs are catered. I only did what I was assigned to do on the technical side. But now I had to put all of these things together. So I started doing that. That was working. It was bringing in money, maybe a month or 2 from also people that I know. I'll get in pieces of scrap. Hey, design this for me. I need this done for me. I'll do those things. But I realized also it wasn't very consistent, because 1 month I'll invoice 2 jobs, 1 month, 1 job, 1 month it's 0. So I say to myself, no, I need dripping income. That's when I said, I'm going to do building construction. So I started with normally how people do it, with a bakkie, a few power tools, wheelbarrows. Started doing renovations. So, and you open up to people now, because even with renovations, how I was doing it, I was looking for leads. I was calling people, dry calling people. If I heard of somebody who needed anything, I need to come to you and convince to you, Ndando, that I'm the man for the job. I can do this. Technically, professionally, however, you need to be satisfied after I advise you on maybe a renovation you want to do.
Yeah.
I remember so vividly, I used to get people who wanted to do either additions or people wanted to tear down walls in their houses. And that's engineering 101. They'll ask you about load-bearing walls. Is this wall that I want to take down, is it a load-bearing? What can it be? They'll ask you all of these things, and you have to sell yourself. You need to be a good salesman to say, no, I think these are the best options you can have. And some would even challenge you. They have the knowledge. So now you have to rehash them to make sure that they understand that I know what I'm talking about. And all of this is a skill that I had to acquire from an early age, of just having that confidence to speak to people. If a person says no, I know how to object them. If you say no, I'm like, okay, I understand maybe this might be really expensive for you now. Can I maybe look into the quotation more to just see what can be adjusted so that we can fit your budget? There, I'm not saying I'm reducing the price. I'm saying, let me look for something. And I can come back and say, okay, I'm taking back 2%, and I'm already selling to you. So that's why I keep saying these were the skills that I had to acquire. But over time, they work every day for me, even at this state of my entrepreneurial journey where I am in.
All right. So there's a follow-up question to that, and it's linked to what you're saying.
Yeah.
It says, how did you transition from a tradesperson to having the millionaire business? I don't know if the question is, how did you transition in mindset or in behavior or in work? But What pops up to you when you hear a young person ask you that? How do I move from being a technical person to being a business person that's running a business that's lucrative?
So I think how you change that, there's a moment in this journey where something needs to click, like, and say, like I have to, either I'm changing down or I'm changing up. You'll get to that point. And why am I saying so? You're going to go through a lot of emotions within this journey, where you wake up, you feel down, you don't want to do anything. But for me, I'll just make an example in that. For me, how it happened, I realized that there were other people whom, when I looked at, I felt like they didn't have the technical skills, or maybe didn't have the mindset, getting bigger opportunities.
Oh.
Then I say to myself, if a person can achieve this without even putting much effort, what about a person who's dedicated himself towards this achievement? How will that person be? Then I realized there is no such thing as luck. If you are going to prepare, even if you are preparing 2% every day, you are going to get to a day where it's 60% and you meet another 60%. Do you understand? Or you meet another 40%. That's how I perceive this whole entire thing. So I think for you to make that transition, I think a person needs to really find their purpose on why they're actually doing this. Me, now, I'll be honest, I got into this field, number one, because I loved it. Number two, because I wanted to make money. Yeah.
That was
the second thing. I wanted to make money. I wanted to become so good and one of the best people to do this, but at making sure that I'm also benefiting in wealth.
All right. So if you're looking at how you started, how you were working when you started and how you're working now, what are the differences that you see?
I think now I am more organized and strategic. I'm no longer all over the place. I understand what works. I understand what doesn't work. I can't really say I know the market, because there is so many markets in this, let me just say, in this built environment industry. So that goes for plumbing, electrical, anything that has to do with building. Even if you're building a bridge, a road, anything, it's so big. But you just need to find your niche and run with it and say, this is what I'm going to do, and run with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of bidding for work, tenders, be it government and corporate sector, what's your advice? Because I noticed that these guys are discouraged in advance.
Okay.
They don't even want to try, because they say the industry is concentrated, locked, it's got comrades. We don't even want to break our hearts. Let's not even try.
Yeah.
What's your advice there? I know government will be a bit harder, but corporate, private sector, they should be.
Private sector, that's an interesting one. For the last 5 years, I think we've specialized mostly in the private sector, and solely because I felt like there is a better ongoing relationship you can create with private. So with private, if you're a good contractor, or should I say a good company that works well with that company, you are guaranteed to be partners with that very well established, and you can keep that relationship way longer than the government. I'm not saying with government you might not get instances where they
keep you
exactly
in their database,
but in their database. But I'm saying here it's much more easy, attainable. It's much more attainable than in government. So secondly, keeping a good profile. Yeah, you need to keep a good profile. With private, if you are called for their emergency breakdowns, be that person who's there. Even if it's a holiday, even if it's, be that person. Do you understand? Be that person who can easily just be there and assist your client. Secondly, extend yourself, not just for the purpose of benefiting. You know, with private clients, you might not make the profit you wanted with this job. Trust me. Over time, there are days where or instances where you are going to benefit way bigger than
the first transaction.
Exactly. So that's where I decided for my company, and for the last 5 years, that's where we've been working more. I'm not going to say we didn't try government, but it's not as much as how we've worked with the private sector. It's only as of last year where we started moving more into government, because we realized with government, it's attainable, but it's a long shot. I don't know. Have you seen? It's very saturated. So look at it in this way. With government, it's like, I don't know. Have you seen how Chinese people plant rice? It's like
just tossing.
They're just tossing. That's exactly what you're doing with the government. You're just tossing. Let me give you an example. For the month of January, I bidded 6 tenders. And all of those tenders, Dando, you spend more than a week working on them. So you get your QS to do the costing
and stuff.
Whatever that needs to be designed, put together, documents, compliance, you work on that. You make sure that it's done. And it takes you an average of 3 to... So a week, you can do about 3 or 4 tenders. And a month, you've done about 6 or 7. But you'd post those tenders and waste... And let me not say waste money. And put money into it. Put money into it.
Money, time, resources.
And nothing will come out. And then one blue Monday, you just get somebody calling you. Hey, I'm calling you from this department. We looked at your quotation. We think we could how soon can you deliver these things? That's how government is. So while you focus on keeping your daily lights on, work on the government. Because I realize
it becomes something that you're doing on the side.
Exactly.
And tossing your rice.
Exactly.
The side.
Yeah.
But you've got something that you're doing that's bringing you cash flow on a daily basis.
Exactly. So that's how you work it. Because tenders they just don't fall from the sky, by the way. Even the private jobs. But with the private sector, you are guaranteed that something definitely is going to come up. So I've had to sort of like compare also how much time and money I put into my marketing on private sector versus this. And I realized that if I at least per month as a company that's on grade 3 CIDP, if we can post at least about 5 to 6 tenders every month, we are at least creating a good algorithm for us to get at least even 3 tenders or 2 tenders a year. That's how I looked at it. So
your numbers, I think they will encourage someone. So listen to the numbers. You're saying your average target is about 6 tenders per month.
Yes.
And the goal is to get at least 2 per year.
From the government sector. Yeah.
Impressive, because you're basically saying there's going to be a number of months along the way where you do the 6 and get nothing.
Yeah. True.
Do the 6 and get nothing.
So look at it as an investment. Yeah, I'm speaking because my business is now at that level where we can now make projections to say last year we did these numbers.
Yeah,
you understand. We had this much projects. This is how many leads we had. This is how much we converted. I now look at those things to try and see, am I really pouring money to the drain or what? At the end of the day, you realize on my marketing for tenders, private jobs, call outs, whatsoever, my bill is this much. How much revenue did I bring? That's how it starts making sense. Or is this business really lucrative or it's not lucrative?
Okay, so you're reminding me. That's why I'm checking on the phone, because Josephina LC threw in a question. Ask him, what are your favorite marketing strategies, especially the ones that work best when you're starting?
Referrals. I spoke to somebody recently that I had a client in 2020.
Yeah.
So I was a project manager for their project. We were not the principal contractor, but towards the end, there were certain things that needed to be done. And some of them were small, but they needed people who knew or precision. So we step in, we do the work. She forwards my number to a colleague of hers who happens to be a director at that time of the Oprah Winfrey Academy for Girls. And even up to today, that lady, I'm still very grateful. All of these people. So she referred me to 7 people. She even put up a post on a social media, tagged my company, tagged me as a personal. I got 7 referrals, and they were all paying. No negotiations. They'll get there, Tabo and the team. This is what we need done. How soon can you do it? And I remember we were booked for almost 3 months with just those leads. And I'll tell them, no, this is what we could do for you guys. This is how we could assist you guys. So that goes to show you how powerful referrals are. Because when you get to that person, and I say, Ntando, maybe Tulani here asked me to give you a call regarding this and that. Can I help you? You are not going to ask questions because you already know. I trust Tulani.
Yeah, true.
I trust Tulani.
100.
Yeah, so if Tulani is your guy, you're my guy too. And so
but how do I get that going for my business if I'm starting up? Maybe I've only done one job. How do I get that system running?
Of course, you have to do more. To achieve more, you have to do more in this instance. When you're starting, look, 1 project per month, do it. Yeah. I know it's still minimum. Other people want to see money more, but you can't rush your growth. Do 1 project a month. Trust me, it will get to 2. It will get to 3. This thing is like that avalanche ball that keeps on just carrying more. Growing. So the momentum also grows as much as you can. By the time you have done 6 clients, it's easy now whenever you are posting for other jobs to say, hey, please call these 6 other people who can vouch for me. And another thing, integrity and honest. Do the right thing, especially artisans. Sometimes they don't want to clean up. But you were working, there's a little bit. Tidy up. Even if you're not going to clean and make it spanking new, but tidy up. Do something. Leave your client with something to say about you. That's the approach that I had. See, Mina, I was very professional when I met you. I made sure I sold myself. Like, I made sure you knew this guy means business. He's not here to play.
What are you doing?
I think it was how I approached people. Like, how I approached you. I had to read people. At point, I had to read, okay, this person, maybe this is where they are going. Yeah. Even with the conversation, when it starts, I need to keep on listening more and being attentive. Okay, this person is... Sometimes you don't want to come out too strong of a character to somebody when you're selling. Sometimes you need to backtrack and let them express themselves as much as they can. Where you know this one is daydreaming. Don't go and say, you're daydreaming. Like, no. Take your time to make them understand and see that point from your point of view. It's as simple as that. So let me just give you an example. So I have this client. I remember I got through this person from Kandua. I had signed up with Kandua at that time. Yeah. So I was getting my leads from Kandua. This guy wanted to repair parts of his foundation. It wasn't a major job. And he wanted to do hood decking. He calls me. I go there as the professional I am in. I'm looking neat because I'm the face of the company. Or whosoever is doing that, the sale, approaching. You need to look proper. You need to make sure you are well groomed. You speak to a person. You approach them in a good manner. Be professional. Or however, if you want to be friendly, be the friendly guy. Hi, sir. How are you doing? I'm here to assist you with this, and this. Could you please show me around? From there, you can strike a conversation with them while you are walking through. I'm just giving you guys an example, by the way. When you get there, try and get them to explain to you what exactly they need to do. And while they're explaining, you are looking around to see, okay, what really needs to be done here? What can I do here? Then you take your measurements. From there, after your measurements have been taken, have a little 2-minute conversation with the client to just try and make them understand what your plan is on trying to complete the job. Just to give them a brief summary. Yeah. It doesn't always work that way because sometimes you are called for, maybe it's a private client, you are called as 4 contractors all at once to come scope the work. Scope and you won't get that. Yeah, you won't get that. But you can always go to the client just to ask them, other questions. That shows attentiveness. That shows that you are willing to go an extra mile for them. And it's the smaller things that you do that add up, that makes the client say, okay, maybe let me go. So I went to this guy. After about 2 days, he complains to me. He's like, no, I think you're too costly.
Okay.
Yeah. I say to him, look, with this project that you are doing, please understand, there is really a lot that needs to be done before we complete this. I gave him a few reasons at the time. And I really tried to rehash him so that he understands how I derived my pricing. And from there he says, no, my friend, you're not going to change my mind. I said, no, thank you for your time. Now here's what happens. About a month later, I meet him at a shopping center close to where I stay.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I remember you from the other day. How are you doing? Did you manage to sell your house? Because he wanted to do these repairs so that he could sell the house. It's like, yo, my man, I regretted what I did. I had to sell the house as it is. That person didn't even finish the job, but I had paid them. I said, I'm sorry about that, but how can I help you going forward? He's like, no, I've already sold the house. This is how. And I didn't want to tell him that, no, man, I told you so.
you understand. You wished you could.
You wished. Then he bought a second house within a few months. And guess what? He called me. So now, what I did with that person, I asked for referrals. Because now, they are always going to remember the service that I gave them going forward. I can always say, listen, before I let you go, give me 5 people who you think would deserve the same service that I've given you. Trust me, you'll give me somebody who trusts you. You'll give me somebody whom you know needs this. Some people have given me referrals and they tell me, no, we are happy with your service, we're happy with your quotation, but for now we're just trying to do a little bit of research. Maybe let's look into this in 3 months' time. Trust me, it adds towards your sales funnel. In 3 months' time, you know you've got a lead that can easily come and be converted into a sale.
If you remember to call.
If you remember to call, yeah, of course.
Because some people get told to call in 3 months and that's it. Yeah. They forget to call and follow up.
Yeah, true.
And so you guys, how are you recording this? Did you have a system to record so that you remember to call? So or even when you write on a diary, you will remember. Yeah. You've got the discipline.
So honestly, my diaries that I started with, I still have them even up to today.
So you are writing?
I used to write. I realized that the power of writing something down is far much better. Of course, now we do it more with phones.
Yeah.
But when I started, I used to write on diaries. I had my diary for 2019, things that I did. If I went to a meeting, if I was scribbling down information with the client or anything, I had all those things written down. It's easy for me to go back and recheck. Have I done this? But as time went on, with iPhones, with Android, you go to your notes, you write down everything. You can even take pictures, save them there. It's as easy as that. But now, with our strategy on how we are capturing leads, we sort of like document them on an Excel spreadsheet. So I can tell you last year how many people you spoke to, whether it was through calls or people that were organic clicks that were coming through our website, or it's just people who just decided to Google and say construction company around and they found Kimber Group and they give me a call or they write me an email. I keep them all that in a spreadsheet, so I'll know exactly how many people I approached last year, how many did we convert. So that has helped us to sort of like shape how we are going to have to go forward as a company, how we are going to have to achieve more as a company. Selling, I don't think is really a problem at this point.
Well, clearly for you.
Yeah.
How did you get past the fear of charging the right price when you're competing with the non-compliant guys, the informal guys? You know, the guys that will go in the street and wait for a job because they will charge half your price.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you get past the fear of competing with them and still keeping your price?
That one was a nightmare in the beginning. Pricing in the beginning was a problem for me because I realized that I didn't have the right rates for some strange reasons. I would get jobs, price them, think I've done my due diligence, and only find out that I'm not even making any money, or I'm making close to nothing. So that did hit me in the beginning, but I had to improve it. And how did I improve it? So I started just doing my research on different companies, well established. That's how I did it first.
Okay.
Well established companies, I looked at their pricing. Companies, medium sized companies, I looked at their pricing. Then I went to maybe a guy who's just an artisan. My man, how much do you charge per square meter, maybe for paving? How much do you charge per square meter for BIC cabinets? And I'll list down those things. Then I had to benchmark myself there. So I had
Against
to
the three categories.
Yes, and I did that for about 2 years, up until I got a book. It's called Pricing Book. It's there on Take-A-Lot.
Okay.
Construction pricing. I'll just screenshot a picture for you. I think
that would be a cool one. Yeah.
There was 2021. I don't know if there's a new edition, which is 2023, 2024. The 2025 one I know might not be still there. Produced yet. But that's what equipped me to now understand, am I pricing my projects right? And it's different with how you price plumbing versus how you price a 10-key project. It's totally different.
Okay.
Yeah, very different.
I'll check it out for me as well. I think it should be a cool thing to know.
Exactly. So with time, you start learning the tricks, and also working closely with people like your quantity surveyors. You start learning now that, I have to look at this way. Because remember, those professionals look at your drawing plans, and they start planning how you are going to execute the project money-wise. So they have to look at all scenarios that can happen within that phase of your construction and say, there are days where you're going to need housekeeping, you need a couple of laborers to clean around the yard or whatsoever. Let's allow for that. There's going to be a day where it's raining and maybe people can't come to work, but you still need to pay them. Let's allow for that. So you see, as time goes on, you grow. But in the beginning, try and find out from the local guys because you also do not want to be
3 tiers and
exactly
then benchmark yourself.
Exactly.
But in terms of the fear of losing a client because I'm too expensive, did you do any shift, or is there someone who helped you?
I did a shift on my own. Sometimes you realize I haven't sold anything. Be an entrepreneur about it. Honestly, I haven't done anything for the whole month. Here's 20 Rand profit that's coming to me.
Yeah.
I just need to maybe put effort for the next 7 days. It's better than not having anything. I've had to have those days where I say, I need to just focus on this. And trust me, that keeps you going.
Yeah.
It keeps you busy. And that could open up something for you. So sometimes you have to make that conscious decision to say, at this point, what would really work for me? Because even taking projects, it goes on. If I'm going to do a series of 3 projects and I'm going to put this much time, remember, people are paying for a service, which is your time. So you need to make sure that it's allocated well. If I at least pick up on these 3 projects, even if I'm not making 40 Rand on each project, I'm making 20, but I have 60. So let me work on these 3. I'm sure by the time I'm done with this, I'll get something that will give me 180, 200 Rands. Do you understand?
I love it. You know what I like about that as well is instead of doing 0 jobs, you're doing something, and it's an opportunity to build the credibility, to build the social proof, to take photos of your work and promote yourself.
Yes.
Is that something you're doing? Have you seen social media as a useful tool?
Very much so. And I should say, I wasn't using social media to its full potential. I had an opportunity in 2022 to really go big on social media, but somehow, I relied on, I've already built a good brand, so I feel like my brand can really sell without me having to pay. Because also advertising on social media is really expensive. For instance, I'll give you my numbers. I ran ads for about, 30 days, I should say, on Facebook ads. that costs me about 5,070. I also run ads on LinkedIn. It's not every day. It's once a week. That costs me about 2,700. I mean 700. And that's just for 4 ads in 1 month on LinkedIn. So you see that if you look at this, it's accumulating. I also look out for leads on Bark and these other small entities. There I spend another 2,000 or 3,000. So when you take all of this, when you take all of these amounts, it amounts to almost close to 10 to 12,000. But it does work because it does a lot of work than just waiting and saying, no, my company will grow. No, I'll go.
So your encouragement is don't be afraid to spend on marketing.
No, don't be afraid. Take as much pictures as you can. That also helps you to build your own profile. Without pictures, it's very hard for a person, because I know for the guys that are starting, clients will say when you contact them, they're like, send me pictures of your work. So if you don't have those readily, it's like, where am I? Because other clients are very straightforward. The minute you contact them, they say, hey, send me pictures of your work. They just want to see, have you done something good with this dream of yours that you say you hold? And if you can't produce, it's like, no, let's move on. Plain simple. That's how they do it.
Man, the confidence you have is it's on another level, né?
Yeah.
And I'm curious as you talk, Ugote, is there hope for someone who is shy? They've gone through class, but they don't have your level of confidence.
Yeah, there is a opportunity for them because, like I said before, this is like a journey. Yeah. Or let me make this example rather than. This is like when you start running, Dando. Let's say you want to go for a jog, 2 kilometers, nothing big.
Yeah.
The first 100 or 200 meters, you're going to feel like you're on fire. You feel like I need to just quit. Let me go back home. But the more you put in that little energy, you realize now that your body warms up and it readjusts itself. And you find yourself now even pacing yourself to say, now I'm going to increase my stride. I'm going to move forward. So it's also the same reaction that you're going to get. So if you're still afraid now, just practice talking to people. After all, you can't be in business and be afraid to talk. You have to network. Because sometimes your success is through other people. You understand? So if you can't speak for yourself, then there is really not. But I encourage people to find that first step, to start talking to other people, conversing. It could be even about things that are not business related. It could be about sports, about our lives or anything. If you can handle yourself in that manner, you can also transfer it to this side, which is in business.
And this is cool. I think we'll call it the art of making money as an artisan.
Yeah, definitely. You have to be like, your character needs to be, look, this is what is working for me.
Yeah.
It could work for somebody else and somebody no. That's just how it is. But if you can pick up something from me, maybe that you are lacking, and just try and reapply yourself, trust me, you'll go a long way. I mean, I've had to do the same thing for myself, whether through reading books or listening to other people with the same mindset that I see or that I think I have. And it has helped shape how I am today and how I approach things in business. So,
one last question for me, based on what you're saying now. You have shared so much today.
Yeah.
You're like laying all your tips on the table. Are you not afraid that you are creating your competition because you're sharing some good stuff?
To be honest, I don't think there is a master. Game. But if you can apply yourself, you can make something out of yourself. So I'm not afraid that I'm sharing. I think this is in fact going to help the next person who's been struggling about this or that. For me, for the longest time, I think I was struggling with time management, like how I manage my time well. I couldn't understand when am I mostly productive. So instead of the time where I was mostly productive, I'll be relaxing. When I'm now feeling sluggish and not wanting, that's when I really want to force myself to work. So I had to figure out, okay, how do I really manage myself and my time so that I can achieve more at certain periods of time? And I learned that through somebody else, whom I was following on a podcast. And I say to myself, okay, let me try and reapply myself with this. And I read a few books, but reading the books was just to rehash myself, but it could work differently for somebody. But that also helped me. So I'm not afraid of sharing my lessons, because there's a kid out there, or there's a guy out there who just started his business, who wants to know more, who wants to gain that confidence. They can get it through me by the lessons that I've gotten.
Parting words to the young guys that are starting out.
I always say this. Anybody who knows me, slow and steady wins the race. Did I say that correctly? Yeah. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm not encouraging people to be slow. I'm saying, even if you're putting your energy on working towards your goal, whether in business or career-wise, and it's not yielding the results that you expected, it doesn't mean that you are not going to achieve it one day. Just keep going steadily, failing, rejuvenating yourself, going forward, as long as you keep going back, forward. So I say, fall backwards. Fall backwards.
Fall backwards or fall forward?
No, sorry, man. I'm trying to say fall forward. So fall forward all the time, because when you fall forward, you can still get up and move the same direction that you're going.
Lovely, man. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your time, and I hope.
Do you want to promote your business?
Yes, of course. Kimbo Group is a very good company. I think a lot of people are missing out from achieving quite a lot with us. But please take some time to go on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our LinkedIn page, just to try and understand where we are going. We also have our website with a blog on the side. We speak about many different things that are happening in the industry. One of my latest ones is BMI, which is building information modeling. It's the new thing now that's happening in the construction industry. It just helps us to design better, to implement better. So there's a less fail rate on whatever we are constructing, whether it's a mega project or something small. It helps us visualize everything and integrate all these different disciplines: civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. It brings every one of us together. And I think that's something that people should look at.
Most def. And we'll get your links and just pop them as well in the description.
Thank you.
That's someone you will want to follow if you're starting out, especially. Actually, even if you're not starting out, because there's someone who's been doing this 5 years and still is not at a level where they know, I've got a business that's profitable and growing. All right, so from us on our side, thank you for joining us till this time. This is the first of a couple of more entrepreneurial artisans that are coming. But basically, it's just the art of entrepreneurship in any field. So look out for the next episode on this, because there is more that's yet to come. See you on the next episode.